Okay, let's look at converting fractions, decimals, and percentages. So let's start off with something like 1 over 10. Now the easiest way is just going to be typed into the calculator. 1 divided by 10 is equal to 0.1. And circle your answer. And then there's other ways to do it, like doing long division. So as you can see in the notes, remember, bottom goes into top. And we're going to put some decimals there. 10 goes into 1 0 times. Put the decimal above. 10 goes into 10 1 time. 1 times 10 is 10. And 10 minus 10 is 0. So we know that the answer is 0.1 again. Let's take a look at 3 over 4. So again, we can type it in the calculator. 3 divided by 4 is 0.75. And we can check our answer, and again we can do long division. 4 goes into 3, bottom goes into top. Now 4 doesn't go into 3, so we're going to add some decimals again. 4 goes into 30. 4 times 7 is 28, so it goes in 7 times. 7 times 4 is 28. We can do a subtraction. 30 minus 28 is 2. And then we can bring the 0 down. 4 goes into 25 times, and we can put the decimal above. Like we did before, we could put the 0 in front if you like. And then 5 times 4 is 20. 20 minus 20 is 0. I'm not even going to show that step, so we know it's 0.75, the same way we did it before. Okay, now let's go from a decimal back to a fraction. So let's take 0.63. Now we have to know the different digits. So way off to the right, 0.000. This is the 10th spot. This is the 100th spot. So if we have 63, we're just going to put 63 over 100. Because the last digit is in the 100th spot. We can obviously check that on the calculator. Okay, what about something like 0.06? 0.06. Well, again, the 6 is in the 100th spot. So we're going to put that number over 100. And again, check these on your calculator. Plug them into the calculator, make sure they're the same, and eventually just start to memorize. So there's going to be different ways to do some of these. For example, I could have checked my last one by doing long division with the fraction that I thought, or all sorts of things. So, for example, turning this number, 0.06, into a percentage, well, we have a definition that a percentage is just a number over 100, making sure to box your formulas different from the answers. So, if I know that a percentage is just a number over 100, if I have 6 over 100, I just know that is 6%. I also could have used my calculator. If I have a decimal, I can simply just multiply that number by 100 to get the percentage. And that's a formula, so we're going to put a box around that formula. So I can just take 0.06 and multiply it by 100 to get 6%, the same way we did using the formula. A percent is just a number over 100. If you get it to be a fraction over 100, well, the top number is the percentage. Or you can simply just use the formula, decimal times 100 is equal to the percentage. Okay, What about if we go in the opposite direction? What if I have 19% equals? Well, as I know before, I'm going to write the formula again. We know that a percentage is just a number over 100. So my easiest way to do this is just say 19 over 100. Again, circle your answers and box your formulas. In order to use a formula for that, I can just take the percentage and divide it by 100 to give me the decimal. Excuse me. Decimal, which again is another formula. So if I take 19 and I divide it by 100, I get 0.19. Turning the percentage into a decimal by dividing it by 100. And then, if I want to simply convert that into a fraction, well, again, from the last page, I know the 9 is in the 100th spot, so we simply put that number over 100, and we can obviously check that on the calculator. There is another little trick way to do it. So, if I have a decimal 0.06, the same one that we did on the last page, the same one that's in the notes, and I simply just want to turn it into a percentage, I simply move the decimal places 2 to the right, and then I get 6 decimal percentage. Now that decimal is unnecessary. Okay, what if I have 19%? And I want to convert that into a decimal? Well, 19 has a decimal right here. And I simply move the decimal 2 times to the left to be right here. And that is my decimal. So all sorts of different ways to do this. We can use the formulas. We can just move the decimal in the correct location. And keep in mind, all of these English sentences are in the notes. So open up the notes, print off the notes, go to 4.1, watch the video, kind of look through the notes, possibly recopy it down, however you like. Okay, so now let's go for a fraction to a percentage. So let's say I have 1 over 10. Now keep in mind, you can do anything you want to in math, you just can't break any of the laws. So for example, you might want to go back to the previous page and do it any way you like, but I'm just going to give you a method. So as we remember, off to the right, a percentage is just a number over 100. So I say equals over 100. Then, as we learned from the chapter 2, equal fractions, well, how do I get from 10 to 100? Well, I multiply by 10. And if I do that to the bottom, I must also do that same operation to the top, and I get 10. And now I know I have my number over 100, so I know it's 10%. Now again, we could have done long division to turn the fraction into a decimal and then use one of our methods like multiplying by 100 or dividing by 100 depending, or moving the decimal in different directions. So I'll let you do that on your own. Let's take a look at another example. 75% to a fraction. 75%. So again, tons of different ways to do this. You could convert it into a decimal and then turn it into a fraction. But let's just use our new method, the one that we've been using for the 4.1, that a percent is just a number over 100. So I can just put that number over 100. Now am I finished? No. We need to do fraction simplification, which is a little bit later, but we can introduce it here. And they can both, the top and bottom, be divisible by 25. So I get 3 over 4. Now, of course, I could turn that into a decimal the way that we did previously, but you can just go in any direction you want. So you might convert it into a decimal and then convert it into a fraction, or convert it into a fraction and then to a decimal, or any process that you like. So, quick review. We turn fractions into decimals, either using long division or our calculator. We turn decimals into fractions by using the theory of placeholders. I'm going to put a box around that in red again. To the right of the decimal, we have the 10th spot, then the 100th spot, then the 1000th spot. And then we can use this nice formula, decimal times 100 equals percentage. Or we can use the formula percent divided by 100 equals decimal, which is exactly the same formula. Or we can just move the decimal 2 to the right to convert from a percentage into a decimal, or move the decimal 2 to the left to convert from a percentage into a decimal. Excuse me, I messed up that last one. And then we can obviously use equal fractions like we did from chapter 2 to convert from fractions into decimals, or percentages into fractions, or eventually decimals.